What's up, Blue and Silver Nation? You felt it, didn't you? That chill, that rush of energy as the crowd erupted and Ford Field roared one more time. This isn't just a team trying to prove it belongs anymore. This is the Detroit Lions building something real. A team that takes the hits, fights through injuries, and answers every doubt with one word: grit. And if last night proved anything, it's that no matter how messy it gets, this group knows how to win. But hold on, because today we're breaking it all down. Dan Campbell's smart decisions, the moves that could reshape this defense, and yeah, that spicy trade rumor about a veteran who might just be the missing piece to make this front even scarier. Before we dive in, make sure to hit that like button, drop a comment below telling me what you thought of the game, and let me know, would you make that trade? Now take a deep breath, turn that volume up, and say it loud with me, the way only this fan base can. One pride. Now let's get to the point. A team that fights through injuries, outlasts the noise, and keeps finding ways to prove that grit isn't just a word on the wall, it's a blueprint for how to win in the NFL. Now, let's talk about what really went down. That game last night, it wasn't perfect, but it didn't need to be. The good far outweighed the bad, and the ugly, that's just the injury report. Terrion Arnold's shoulder is the main concern right now, and there's no clear word yet on the severity. Rocky Sin also got banged up, and with so many defensive backs taking hits, you can bet that's at the top of Dan Campbell's list of worries. But here's the encouraging part. None of those injuries seem to be serious. Just the usual battle scars that come with playing Lions football in October. Taylor Decker, on the other hand, didn't even suit up. He's been managing a shoulder injury, and Dan Campbell made the smart call to rest him. That's a veteran move from a coach who's not thinking about the next week. He's thinking about January. You don't burn out your soldiers before the war. You make sure they're ready for the biggest games of the season. Campbell's mindset is clear. If you're dinged up, sit down, heal up, and come back when you can give 100%. Now here's where things get interesting. Trade rumors are heating up, and the smoke is coming straight from New Orleans. Reports around the league suggest the Saints could be open to moving some veteran players, and one name jumps off the page: Cam Jordan. You heard that right. A reunion between Dan Campbell and Cam Jordan could actually happen. Think about that. A proven veteran still producing at a high level, coming in to reinforce a defense that's already been one of the most improved units in football. It's not just a fantasy scenario either. Word is, it could take no more than a 6th-round pick to get him. The Lions have 2 of those. That's pocket change in the NFL. Low cost, big payoff. Exactly the kind of move championship teams make. Imagine a defensive front featuring Aiden Hutchinson, Marcus Davenport, Alquadin Muhammad, Josh Pascal, Aleem McNeil, DJ Reader, and maybe even Cam Jordan rotating in. That's not just depth, that's destruction. When healthy, that front 7 is terrifying. The kind of rotation that keeps quarterbacks up at night. And it's the kind of move that screams, we're not just here to make the playoffs, we're here to win the whole thing. It's reminiscent of the Zadarius Smith trade from last season, a smart veteran pickup that puts an already strong defense over the top. Now, let's be honest, Detroit's offense doesn't need saving. It's the #1 offense in the NFL right now, lighting up scoreboards every week. Jared Goff has been surgical, the run game is pounding defenses into submission, and the play calling has been near perfect. Special teams, top tier, reliable, dangerous. Every phase of this team is clicking, except for those few defensive lapses that come with depth issues and fatigue. Add a player like Cam Jordan, and those moments could disappear entirely.
But let's rewind a bit, because Taylor Decker's absence meant someone else tapped their shot. Giovanni Manu. His first start was, well, what you'd expect. A mixed bag. He gave up a couple of sacks but held his own on several plays. Jared Goff clearly understood what the young tackle was dealing with, a debut under the bright lights, protecting one of the best quarterbacks in football against elite defenders. The chemistry on the offensive line wasn't perfect, but that's expected when you're plugging in new pieces. The priority now is to get Decker fully healthy and back protecting Goff's blind side when the games really start to matter. If Decker needs more time, the Lions have options. Dan Skipper is on the practice squad and could be elevated if necessary. He's a guy who's stepped up before and earned the trust of this coaching staff. Again, it's about managing the long game, not panicking in the short term. That's how championship organizations operate. Now, zoom out for a second and look at the landscape. The Eagles just lost, badly. The Bills lost at home to the Patriots. And while those heavyweights stumble, the Lions are climbing fast. Analysts like Bucky Brooks already have Detroit ranked as the #1 team in the entire NFL. Think about that for a second. The Detroit Lions, the team that was once the butt of every football joke, sitting at the top of the league in October. And honestly, they've earned it. The offense is elite. The defense is climbing into the top 15. Special teams are as strong as they were last year when they were the best in football. You can feel the respect shifting. Teams know now, you don't take Detroit lightly. Not anymore. But here's where it gets real. The Lions aren't just climbing because others are falling. They're winning the right way. Beating playoff caliber teams, often on the road, and doing it with a level of toughness and discipline that feels built to last. They went into Baltimore and punched a contender straight in the mouth. They're not sneaking up on anyone now. They're forcing teams to prepare for them like they're the ones with the target. And now comes the next test, Kansas City. Sunday Night Football. The bright lights, the defending champs, Patrick Mahomes. This is the game that tells the world just how far Detroit has come. Jared Goff is 2-0 against Mahomes, but the Chiefs are heating up again, and it won't be easy, especially with the Lions secondary a little banged up. Kansas City's speed will test every inch of the defense. But make no mistake, this is exactly where the Lions want to be. Facing the best, under the spotlight, with everything to prove and nothing to fear. If they win, they go to 5-1. That's a statement. That's the kind of record that puts you in the Super Bowl conversation for real. And even if they fall short, the bigger picture doesn't change. This team is legitimate, built for December and January football, not just early season hype. Detroit's not chasing validation anymore, they're demanding respect. So what do you think, Lions fans? Should Brad Holmes pull the trigger and bring in Cam Jordan? Is it time to go all in for a Super Bowl run? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this team is on the verge of something special, and every move from here could define the season. And that's the thing about this moment in Detroit. It doesn't feel like a good start anymore. It feels like the start of something that's been building for years. Every play, every hit, every chant of "Let's Go Lions" echoes a message that's been waiting to be heard. This franchise is done being underestimated. You can see it in the way Dan Campbell talks about his players. There's no panic, no excuses, just calculated decisions built on trust. Sitting Taylor Decker wasn't about fear. It was about faith. Faith that the next man up could handle the job. Faith that the locker room is strong enough to weather a few injuries. Faith that the real goal, the Lombardi Trophy, is still within reach. And that's why moves like a potential Cam Jordan trade make so much sense right now. You don't make that kind of call if you're still trying to build for the future. You make it when you believe the future is already here. Jordan's familiarity with Campbell from their New Orleans days adds even more weight to the idea of veteran presence who understands the culture, the grind, and the standard. If it happens, it's not just about stats or name value, it's about message. A move like that tells the locker room, we're going for it right now. And think about what that means for the rest of the defense. Aiden Hutchinson, already one of the most dominant young edge rushers in the league, getting to line up beside another relentless veteran who's made a career out of beating double teams. Marcus Davenport bringing pressure from the opposite side. Alam McNeil anchoring the interior. It's chaos for any offensive line, and that's exactly the kind of chaos championship defenses are made of. But what's really special about this Detroit team isn't just the talent, it's the buy-in. Every player knows their role, and nobody's above the grind. When a rookie like Giovanni Manu steps in, struggles a bit, and still keeps his head up because he knows the team has his back, that's culture. When backups like Amick Robertson take ownership after a mistake instead of pointing fingers, that's growth. And when Dan Campbell looks at his depth chart and says, we're good, it's because he means it. He's built this roster for exactly this kind of stretch, where the injuries pile up, the headlines get louder, and the season starts to test who you really are. Now, don't get it twisted, the Kansas City game is no walk in the park. Patrick Mahomes is still Patrick Mahomes, and that Chiefs defense has quietly become one of the most disciplined in football. They've got speed on the outside, and with Detroit's corners beat up, Terry and Arnold, Rocky Sin, DJ Reed, that's where things could get dicey. The secondary will have to dig deep. This is where communication, trust, and preparation matter more than ever. But if there's one thing the Lions have proven under Campbell, it's that they won't back down. They go into every stadium believing they can punch anyone in the mouth, and more often than not, they're right. This isn't about hoping for a miracle. It's about continuing to prove that the Detroit Lions belong in the same sentence as the elite. The bigger picture here, though, is how the league is starting to take notice. The national media, the analysts, the rankings, all shifting toward Detroit. Fox Sports' Bucky Brooks already has the Lions at number 1 in the NFL, and while that might have sounded crazy a few years ago, it doesn't anymore. Because right now, there's a strong case to be made that they are the best team in football. Think about it. The offense, first in the league. The defense, top 15 and rising fast. Special teams? Among the very best, again. And that's not hype, that's consistency. That's execution. Week after week. Meanwhile, other supposed powerhouses are cracking. The Eagles, who were once the NFC's measuring stick, just took a tough loss. The Bills fell flat at home. Even teams like Tampa Bay have been relying on comebacks to survive. While they're scrambling to find themselves, the Lions are out here stacking wins and building momentum. And let's be honest, when was the last time anyone could say that about Detroit football? When was the last time a Monday morning felt like this, waking up, turning on the highlights, and thinking, yeah, we're for real? Because this isn't smoke and mirrors. This isn't luck. It's hard work, smart coaching, and a roster that's bought into something bigger than itself. Every win feels earned. Every setback feels like a setup for the next step. Still, there's that lingering question, the one every fan has in the back of their mind. Are we ready to go all in? That's where Brad Holmes comes in. He's been meticulous, patient, deliberate. He doesn't pull the trigger unless he's sure. But this might be the moment to make that one move that turns a contender into a favorite. Because the window is open right now. The NFC is vulnerable. The Lions are healthy enough, confident enough, and balanced enough to make a real run. You can feel the energy from the locker room, from the fan base, from the entire city. This isn't the same old Lions anymore. This is a franchise rewriting its own story in real time. So as we head into another primetime showdown, the question isn't whether Detroit can win, it's how far this team can take it, how deep they can go, how much belief they can turn into reality. And that's where you come in. Yeah, you, watching right now. What do you think? Should Brad Holmes push the button and bring in Cam Jordan for one last run at glory? Do you think this defense needs another veteran piece? Or should they trust the group that's gotten them this far? Drop your thoughts below. Because whether you're in the stands, on your couch, or watching from halfway across the country, you're part of this. You've lived through the pain, the rebuilds, the near misses. Now you're witnessing the rise.